This is our first program. It's a very simple program that calculates the user's pay, and the way it does it is it asks the user first how many hours did you work. The user inputs it, then he asks how much do you get paid per hour. User inputs the rate. Behind the scenes the program calculates the rate and then shows how much has been earned. Now, how does this program works? First of all, the program has to know which variables we're going to be using, and variables are just memory locations where we're going to store certain values. And over here we use a double. We'll talk about what a double is as opposed to other data types later on. The cout is basically the terminal. The cin is basically the keyboard, and to use them you need to make sure that you include the IO stream library. So that's the library needed for the input-output streams. The standard input is the keyboard, standard output is the terminal or the screen. Another thing that you always want to do is use the standard namespace. If you don't include this line over here, then you always have to add standard : before every cin and cout. Now that's very tedious, but it also makes it unnecessarily messy. So use this line over here. I really don't want to see any assignments that don't have this in there, and we have all these standard : in the code over here. This is the main function over here, and the main function has code associated with it between these curly brackets over here. First thing we do, like I said, declare the variables. Then put some values into those variables. Ask the user how many hours did you work, and the user inputs them. Same thing over here. How much do you get paid per hour, and the user inputs it. And then over here you can just multiply the hours and the rate to get the pay. And then you output it to the user over here, and we've seen this before. Just go to the terminal over here, 40 hours worked and 25.56, and we have the output right here. Now, we're talking here about 4 steps, and this is something that I have stressed heavily in the past. With the advent of artificial intelligence, it's probably not as important anymore, but I still want to show it to you because there's a lot of method to the madness. Okay, so by keeping this structure, these 4 steps, you're much less likely to forget things and to get frustrated later on. How do I do this? I'm going to split the screen over here and just create a new program over here, and I'll call this program 101a.cpp. And first thing I'm going to do is just give you the basic skeleton of any program. Now we always have to use the IO stream library, because we always need the keyboard and the terminal, and we also want to include this over here, and you want to make sure that you end that with a semicolon. Then we have over here the main function, and I always suggest that we put the curly brackets over here on a new line. By the way, you see a lot of artificial intelligence pre-typing. We're just going to overtype that for now. And what I'm going to do, oops, I accidentally actually, let me just use the Control Z here. Okay, so I always want to end with return 0, because that indicates to the program that there are no errors at the end. And I'm just going to do a very simple cout. Let me do the hello world over here. I'll just use the tab key to accept this. And now we can run this. And you see that the hello world application prints here. Now we're going to take this out and we're going to do these 4 steps. And I'm going to do them without any commenting. So the first thing that we're going to do is declare some variables, double num1, num2, and product. We're going to take 2 numbers with decimals and we're going to multiply them and get the product. So this is our first step where we declare the variables. Then we have to put some values in them, and you can do that as num1 equals 12.3 and num2 equals 4.5. Looks good. The next suggestion over here is to multiply them. So over here we declare the variables, here we put some values in them, here we do the calculation. And then cout, and I'll just follow the suggestion over here. The product of num1 and num2 is this. And when I run this, you see that it works perfectly. Now, if we want to get some user input, we have to use cout and enter the first number. And I'll just take this suggestion over here with the cin, and then cout, enter the second number. This one over here, I'm going to take this out because I don't need it. And now I'm going to run this again, and now it's a little bit more flexible. I'll just 9.87 and 8.99. So over here we have a fully functional program. So the 4 steps: declare the variables, then over here get values for the variables. Over here the third step is some calculation, and then over here it's output to user or write to file. So those are the 4 steps: declaring the variables, putting some values in them, doing a calculation, and then either show it to the user or write it to a file.